Welcome back, everyone, to the deep dive. This time, we're going to be focusing on drapery and carpet cleaner interview prep.
Oh, nice.
And to do that, we're going to be taking a deep dive into our career guide, interview guide, and even using some insights from RoleCatcher.
Yeah, I'm really excited about this one. Getting prepped for an interview, kind of turning those nerves into excitement.
Absolutely. Today, our goal is to equip you, the listener, with all the knowledge you need to feel confident walking into that interview and impressing those hiring managers.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, let's jump right in. What does a drapery and carpet cleaner actually do?
So it may sound straightforward, but there really is a certain art to it. Like you're taking these fabrics and carpet, things that have maybe been stained or seen better days,
Right.
and you're bringing them back to life. It's about transformation.
I like that. It's like giving these surfaces, these fabrics, a whole new start, a fresh start, like a new beginning.
Absolutely.
Okay, so every job has its ups and downs, right?
Hmm.
What are some of the pros and cons that potential drapery and carpet cleaners should be aware of?
Well, on the plus side, you have a lot of flexibility,
Hmm.
often a lot of flexibility with your schedule. You might be working independently, set your own pace, maybe even earn a really good income, especially if you specialize.
Yeah, so there's potential for independence, for good earnings.
Absolutely.
But what about the other side of that? What about the cons?
Well, it can be pretty physically demanding. You're on your feet a lot. You're going to be dealing with some heavy equipment and potentially exposed to some chemicals or allergens. You could also have some irregular hours, nights, weekends.
Yeah, definitely something to consider and make sure it fits your lifestyle and your preferences.
For sure. And those are the kind of insights that we go really in depth on in that career guide to give you a really good picture of what to expect.
Speaking of insights, let's get to the heart of this deep dive, those interview questions. I'm sure that's where a lot of people listening are probably most curious. And also, this is where RoleCatcher can really shine. So give me one question that you think is pretty common in a drapery and carpet cleaner interview.
Oh, definitely. Can you describe your experience in drapery and carpet cleaning? Now, you might be thinking, what if I haven't had an actual job as a drapery and carpet cleaner?
Right.
Well, first of all, never exaggerate your experience. You always want to be honest. Focus instead on relevant tasks or any transferable skills you might have. Maybe you've cleaned carpets at home, or maybe you helped a friend, a family member with some cleaning.
Yeah, so even if you haven't had that exact job title, you can still find ways to talk about your capabilities.
For sure. And, RoleCatcher's AI can really help you identify those skills, maybe even some hidden ones you might not even be thinking about, and tailor your resume to match.
I like it, like your own personal career detective.
Absolutely.
Okay, what's another common question you think people should be prepared for?
How do you handle those really difficult or stubborn stains?
All right, time to hit the books and review the career guide and the interview guide.
That's right. Make sure you are familiar with all those different stain types: coffee, wine, grease, ink, pet accidents, anything you can think of.
Oh, yeah.
And really research the best solutions and techniques, because interviewers are going to want to see that you understand the science behind removing stains, not just guessing.
So it's about showcasing your expertise.
Exactly. And you can even mention a specific time when you tackled a really difficult stain. Maybe you were helping a friend, or even just something at home that you can bring up as an example of your problem-solving skills and hands-on experience.
And that's a good point, right? It
Right.
doesn't necessarily have to be in a professional setting, just connecting the experience to the job.
Right. And RoleCatcher, again, their AI, it can analyze your experience, your background, and really help you pinpoint those specific situations that demonstrate the skills needed for this job.
Almost like a personal highlight reel.
Ex-
Okay, this next one seems a bit broad. How do you ensure that you meet the client's expectations?
Mhm.
Where do you even start with that?
Well, it really boils down to showing that you're client-focused and detail-oriented. Really emphasize your communication skills, that you're an active listener, and that you're willing to go the extra mile for that client.
Okay.
Imagine they say, how would you approach a client who's concerned about a specific stain or damage? What would you do?
Well, first, I would express that I understand their concern. I would carefully inspect the area with them and explain, kind of walk them through the cleaning process,
That's great.
and then, see if they had any other questions.
That's perfect. Yeah. Shows you're taking it seriously. And then they say, okay, well, what if it doesn't come out completely? How would you handle that?
Well, honesty is always key.
Of course.
So I would explain to them that while I am confident in my abilities, some stains can be incredibly stubborn and difficult to remove. I would reassure them that I would do everything possible to minimize the stain and then explain any alternative options, like specialized treatments.
Perfect.
Maybe even repairs if necessary.
You got it.
So acknowledge the potential challenge, but show you're going to find a solution.
Absolutely. That's exactly what they want to see. And again, RoleCatcher can really help you. They have that AI that analyzes these types of questions and gives you feedback.
Yeah, it's like that virtual interview simulator, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Let's move on to another question. I think this one's really important in this line of work. How do you ensure you're following all the safety procedures?
Right. Well, safety is paramount, and the interviewer wants to see that you take that very seriously. And it's not just about protecting yourself, but also protecting your client's property.
It's about being respectful of their home, their property, their space.
Absolutely. So when answering this question, you want to highlight your knowledge of how to handle chemicals properly, wearing the right protective gear, operating the equipment safely.
So even if you haven't had that specific experience, you can still find ways to demonstrate you're safety conscious.
For sure. Now, what if they say, have you ever had a situation where you had to stop working because of a safety concern?
I'd be honest, and I would share an example, even if it was something small, and explain the situation and what I did to address it.
Perfect. It shows that you're not going to compromise on safety.
Yeah, safety first.
Absolutely. Okay, before we wrap up this section, let's talk about one more. Why are you interested in this particular role?
Time to really show your passion and your enthusiasm.
Exactly. Really think about what drew you to this field. Is it the satisfaction of transforming a space, or the challenge of those tough stains, or maybe the opportunity to work independently?
Yeah, so connecting your values and interests to the job itself.
For sure. And again, RoleCatcher, they can really help you articulate those things very clearly with their AI.
Almost like your own personal branding expert.
Absolutely.
Cool. So it's not just about saying the right things. It's about showcasing yourself authentically and showing why you're a good fit for this job.
That's it.
Perfect. Well, that's a great start to getting prepped for that interview. But let's take a quick break, and we'll come back and dive into some more questions when we return after the break.
Sounds good. All right, so let's tackle another question you might come across. Something like, can you describe your approach to cleaning carpets and draperies, but in like a commercial setting?
Okay, so that might feel a little different, right, if you've mostly worked in residential settings.
Right, but even if you haven't had that exact experience, you can still highlight your skills and knowledge. So really emphasize that you understand the demands of that environment.
So showing that you're adaptable.
Exactly, yeah.
Right.
Like they might ask, how would you go about cleaning a high traffic area like a hotel lobby? And that's your chance to show that you understand how to work quickly and efficiently.
Right, so it's not just about cleaning. It's about being aware of the guests, the business.
Right, minimizing disruption, using the right signage, being mindful of the noise levels.
Okay, and what if they ask something like, have you ever had to change your cleaning schedule or maybe your approach because something unexpected happened?
Well, that's all about those problem-solving skills. Think back to a time when you had to adapt, even if it wasn't in a job.
Yeah, okay.
Like maybe you had to reschedule a client because of an emergency, or you had to adjust your cleaning method because of a stain you didn't expect.
Yeah, it's just showing you can think on your feet.
Exactly, showing that flexibility. And again, RoleCatcher can help you with their AI by analyzing your past experiences and finding those situations that demonstrate those skills.
Oh, that's great. So it's like having your own career strategist.
Absolutely. Okay, how about this one? How do you handle any customer complaints or issues with the cleaning quality?
Oh, that's a good one.
It can be tough, but it's your chance to show how professional you are. The interviewer is going to want to see that you can handle those situations with grace and that you can come up with solutions that leave the client happy.
Right, so it's not just about fixing the problem. It's about that whole client relationship.
Exactly. So let's say they ask, what steps would you take if a client wasn't happy with the results?
Well, I'd first want to reassure them, let them know I'm committed to making sure they are satisfied, and then I'd ask them to explain specifically what the issues are so I can really understand the problem.
Good. So you're listening and you're showing empathy.
Yeah, absolutely. And then depending on what they say, I might offer to re-clean the area or maybe apply a special treatment or even give them the discount on their next cleaning.
Perfect. You're showing that you're proactive and willing to go the extra mile.
Exactly.
Now, they might dig a little deeper and say something like, have you ever dealt with a really tough customer complaint, and how did you resolve it?
Right. Well, That's a good opportunity to share an example from a real situation that highlights your problem-solving skills and how you stay calm under pressure. So maybe I'd talk about a time when a client wasn't happy with a stain that I just couldn't get out completely. I'd explain how I talked to them, explain the situation, offered other solutions, and found a compromise so they felt heard.
Perfect. Turning that negative situation into a positive one.
Yeah.
And again, don't forget, RoleCatcher's AI can analyze your answers and give you feedback on how you're coming across.
Yeah, that feedback tool is like having a communication coach.
Absolutely. Okay, let's shift gears a bit and talk about career advancement. You land the job, what's next?
Yeah, where can you go from there? What does that look like?
Well, RoleCatcher's career guide actually gives some really good insights into that. And one of the key things is continuous learning. This industry is always changing, new technology, new solutions.
Oh, for sure. So it's not just about learning the basics and you're good.
Yeah.
It's like ongoing education.
Yeah, exactly. And they might ask you in the interview, how do you stay up to date with all the new things? So be ready to talk about your commitment to learning.
Right, like mention online courses or industry publications you follow,
That's a great idea.
conferences, things like that.
Absolutely. And then they might say, well, what areas are you most interested in learning more about?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Right. So that's your chance to highlight any specialties you're interested in.
Okay, so I could mention things like green cleaning or, stain removal for specific fabrics.
That's perfect. It shows that you're eager to learn and you have goals.
Right.
And RoleCatcher can actually help with this too. They have a career compass feature that can connect you with courses and training programs.
Oh, I like that. So it's like a personalized roadmap for your career.
Right. Okay, another important thing is showcasing your work. Clients and employers want to see what you can do.
That makes sense. How can you do that as a drapery and carpet cleaner?
Well, having a portfolio of before and after photos is huge. They might ask, how would you present your work? And that's when you explain how you highlight your skills and the results you can achieve.
So it's like a visual representation.
Yes, and you can even mention any testimonials from past clients.
That's great. Building that social proof.
Exactly. And RoleCatcher can actually help you create a professional-looking online portfolio.
Wow, so it's like having your own marketing team.
Right. Okay, and we can't forget about networking. Building relationships is so important for opening doors.
Definitely. It's about making those connections.
Yeah. They might ask, how do you stay connected in the industry? So be ready to talk about professional organizations, events you attend, online forums.
Okay, so it's not just about what you know, it's about who you know.
Exactly, and staying informed about the industry. Okay, let's talk about the 3 career stages that the career guide outlines.
Okay, yeah, I was curious about that.
It gives a really good breakdown of the typical career path. You start with entry level, where you're mostly learning and assisting.
Right, building those foundational skills.
Yeah, they might ask, what are your expectations for an entry-level role? Be honest. Talk about your willingness to learn and contribute to the team.
So showing your enthusiasm.
Exactly. Then you move up to junior drapery and carpet cleaner. You're taking on more responsibility, maybe working more independently.
Right, so they might ask what kind of responsibilities you're looking for.
Yeah, highlight your independence, your attention to detail.
Yeah.
And finally, you get to senior drapery and carpet cleaner, where you might be leading a team or training new people.
So you're the expert at that point. What kind of questions might you get for a senior level role?
They might ask about your leadership style, your experience with training, how you handle clients, and those tricky situations.
So it's about showing that you're ready for that leadership position.
Exactly. And the career guide actually gives examples of people in each of those stages so you can see what it takes to be successful.
Oh, that's helpful. Like a sneak peek into the future of your career.
Right. All right, let's dive back into some more of those interview questions.
Okay, yeah, I'm ready for more.
Let's see. How about, can you describe your experience using different types of cleaning equipment, like steam cleaners or extractors?
Okay, so what if you haven't used much of the professional equipment?
Just be honest about your experience, but emphasize that you're eager to learn. You know, I haven't used that specific model, but I'm a fast learner, something like that.
Yeah, so turn it into a positive.
Exactly. And, RoleCatcher can help you research different equipment and even watch videos to get familiar.
Oh, so it's like a virtual training center.
Exactly. Okay, here's another one that can be a little tricky. Tell me about a time you had to work alone on a cleaning project.
That could be hard if you've mostly worked on teams.
Right, well, they're looking for that independence, self-motivation, and how well you manage your time. Think about a time you took charge of something, even outside of work.
So like when I clean my own house from top to bottom.
Perfect example. And then they might ask, how do you stay focused when working alone?
I'd mention things like making to-do lists, setting deadlines, breaking big tasks into smaller ones.
Great. You're showing you can handle it.
Yeah.
Okay, how about this one? What do you do when a client's not happy with how the cleaning turned out?
Oh, that's a tough one.
It is, but it shows how you deal with those situations. It's about customer service and problem solving.
It's about more than just getting the stain out. It's about keeping the client happy.
Right. So let's say they ask, what would you do if a client complained about a smell after you cleaned their carpet?
I'd first want to let them know that I understand and apologize for any inconvenience. Then I'd ask them to describe the smell and try to figure out what might be causing it.
Good, you're getting all the details.
And then I'd offer to go back and fix the problem.
Perfect, you're going the extra mile.
Exactly.
And then they might say, have you ever had a client you couldn't completely satisfy?
Oh, good question.
It's a chance to show your integrity, talk about a time you did your best, but maybe there were limitations.
So, like, maybe a client had unrealistic expectations about a really old stain.
Uh-huh.
I'd talk about how I explained the situation, offered other options, and tried to find a compromise.
Great example. You showed that you can handle tough situations. And don't forget, RoleCatcher can help you practice those answers and get feedback.
That AI feedback is so helpful.
Okay, let's talk about a question that can really set you apart. Why do you want to work for our company specifically?
Yeah, I was wondering about that one. It's more than just saying you like cleaning, right?
Absolutely. It's about showing that you've done your research and you're genuinely interested in them. Look into their history, what they stand for.
Okay, so I could mention their eco-friendly practices or their commitment to their employees.
Yes, those are great things to bring up. Show that you connect with their values.
And then they might ask about the company culture.
Yeah, that's a popular one.
So I could talk about their focus on teamwork or professional development.
Exactly. You're showing them you're serious about joining their team.
It's about finding the right fit.
Right. And RoleCatcher's AI can actually help you with this research too.
Oh, that's cool. It's like having a career matchmaker.
Right. Okay, let's tackle this one. It can be intimidating. What are your salary expectations?
Yeah, that one makes me nervous.
It's all about being prepared. Research the average salary in your area beforehand.
So you know your worth.
Exactly. Be honest about your expectations, but also flexible. You could say something like, I'm looking for a salary between X and Y, but I'm open to discussing it further.
That sounds good. Confident, but open.
Exactly. Okay, one of the last things they usually ask is, do you have any questions for us?
A lot of people just say no, but it's really a chance to impress them.
It is. Ask thoughtful questions that show you're really interested. Don't just ask things you could easily Google.
Okay, so maybe something like, what are the biggest challenges of this job? Or what are the opportunities for growth?
Those are great examples. You're thinking long-term.
And RoleCatcher can help with this too.
Absolutely. Their AI can generate insightful questions tailored to the company.
It's like having a personal interview strategist.
Right. Now remember, practice your answers to all these questions. The more you practice, the more confident you'll feel.
Repetition is key.
And RoleCatcher's feedback tool can be really helpful for that. It's like having a virtual coach giving you pointers.
It's like having a secret weapon for the interview.
Exactly. Okay, are you ready to talk about presentation and those final touches that can really make an impression?
Yes, let's do it. I'm ready to hear about those finishing touches. Okay, so we've talked about the technical stuff, we've talked about customer service, but what about those last little things that can really make you stand out in the interview?
Right. It's all about that presentation, that professionalism. It's like you're presenting your brand, you want to show them your expertise, that you're reliable, you care about quality.
So it's about the image you project.
Exactly. First impressions are huge. Like imagine they ask, what would you wear to a client's home? What would you say?
Well, I would definitely emphasize looking neat and professional. Clean clothes, wrinkle-free, maybe a company uniform if they have one,
Yeah.
and definitely closed-toe shoes for safety.
Perfect. Shows you're thinking about those details. What if they ask, what do you do if the client has pets?
Oh, that's a good one. Well, I would always ask the client about pets beforehand, just to make sure everything's safe and comfortable.
Right.
Are there any allergies I should be aware of? And I would make sure to take any precautions, like using pet-friendly cleaning solutions.
That's great. You're thinking ahead.
Or even just keeping the pets in a separate area while I'm working.
Exactly. It shows you're adaptable and you're thinking about their needs.
Yeah. It's about respecting their home and their pets.
For sure. Now, another big part of professionalism is being on time. Clients really appreciate that.
Absolutely. Time is valuable.
Right. So they might ask you, how do you make sure you get to appointments on time? What would you say?
Well, I talk about planning my routes, thinking about traffic, using GPS,
Okay, good.
making sure I'm taking the most efficient route.
Smart. So you're organized, but then they say, what happens if you're running late?
Honesty is the best policy. I would call the client as soon as possible, apologize, and give them a new estimated arrival time.
Perfect. You're communicating and keeping them in the loop.
Exactly, and hopefully they'll be understanding.
Right. Okay, communication is so important throughout the whole process, not just at the beginning.
So even during the cleaning.
Yeah, keep the client informed. So they might ask, how would you update a client on how the cleaning's going? What would you say?
Well, I would give them regular updates. Explain what I'm doing, point out anything I find that's unusual,
Perfect.
and of course, answer any questions they might have.
Perfect. You're being transparent.
Exactly.
Now, they might ask, what do you do if you run into a stain that's really hard to get out?
Well, I would explain the situation to the client, talk about the different options,
Right.
and work with them to find the best solution.
You got it. You're showing your problem-solving skills and that you're working together with them.
Yeah, it's about building that trust.
For sure. And don't forget, RoleCatcher can help you practice those answers and get feedback on how you're coming across.
Well, yeah, that AI is like a secret weapon.
It is. So remember, it's all about those finishing touches. Your appearance, being on time, your communication, all of that makes a difference for the client.
And hopefully it turns into a long-term relationship.
Absolutely. So to wrap up this whole deep dive, as you're getting ready for your interview, don't forget to let your passion show.
Yeah, let them see your excitement.
Exactly. Let them see how much you love this work, how much you care about those details, about making people's spaces look amazing.
It's about more than just the cleaning. It's about the impact you have.
Right. And remember, RoleCatcher's there to help you every step of the way with their tools and insights.
It's like having a whole team on your side.
It is. So good luck out there, everyone. We know you can ace those interviews and land that dream job.
That's right. We hope you found this deep dive helpful. And remember, whether you're just starting out or you're a seasoned pro, keep learning, keep communicating, and keep that passion alive. And thanks for joining us on the deep dive.